Hola, hola. It's your girl, Erica from America. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles podcast. This podcast is all about helping you stand in who you are. Stop giving a fuck what people think about you. Start standing as your fully expressed self. As you are, queen, as is, there is no filter needed. You are fucking awesome. And I am here to remind you, I'm a confidence coach, a business mentor, a speaker, an author, and I am obsessed with women standing up, showing up, and creating their confidence. And I cannot wait to dig into today's episode with you. Hello, my love. Welcome to the podcast. Okay, before we start this amazing episode, which I'm so damn excited, I got like notes over here that I've been writing before recording because this has been on my mind and I cannot wait to break it down with you. I need to let you know that the sisterhood is open. The sisterhood, 12 months, live coaching with me, community, accountability, connection, sisters in the hood supporting you while you commit to changing your damn life. Let's make it happen. Stop messing around. This is your time. If you are interested, if you want to learn how to actually take all the stuff I talk about on this podcast and action it in your life so you're not just binging and listening and hoping and wishing things will magically change because you pushed play on an episode, because not how it works. Join me inside the sisterhood. Click the link in the show notes. You can even book a call if you have questions about it. You want to find out more about it. There's heaps of information. thequeenofconfidence.com/sisterhood. Okay? Sister, S-I-S-T-A, hood. Cannot wait. You need to do the damn thing. Okay. I get asked all the time about how I changed my life. Like, what was the thing that helped me to transform, let go of all the toxic relationships. I kept putting myself into really bad relationships with men. I've done so many podcasts on it. If you want to watch more of those, I'll link them below. How I finally was able to, deal with the past and all the shit that had been served to me, the cards that got dealt to me. I didn't get a good hand. And how was I able to be with that, to deal with that, to overcome the shit with my mom, to overcome the sexual abuse, the abandonment issues, losing my husband, breaking my back, financial issues, all the things. And I just had an event last Sunday. We had a Creating Confidence Masterclass. My God, that event was next level. Like when I tell you that the women who came to that event in person and virtually, many of you that listen to the podcast attended, I'm so blown away by who walked into the room and who came into the Zoom. And the chat box was fucking lit. The discussions we were having, the emotions, the vulnerability, the women were ready. Y'all were ready. Those of you who came, you were ready. And I shared a little bit about my story. And I shared it and I share it here because who cares, right? Who cares about your story? Who are you? It doesn't matter. But I share it from a place because I want you to understand that I get what it's like to lack confidence. I get what it's like to attract toxic relationships, be verbally, sexually, physically abused. I get what it's like to grieve and lose someone you love. I get what it's like to feel hopeless and helpless and fucked and cursed and damaged and like everything's gone to shit and there's no hope. I get what it's like to struggle with alcoholism, okay? I get what it's like to numb out with drugs or numb out with sex or numb out with porn or numb out with Netflix. I get what it is like. And I want you to know that when I speak to you on this fucking podcast, I'm not talking from my mighty high horse in my little fucking ivory tower where I'm the queen of confidence and everything is perfect and I'm so confident. No, I fucking understand the tough shit. It's called being resilient. It's called moving through your difficulties. It's called doing the work to heal the shit that fucks with you so that you can overcome it, so that you can create the life you want. We don't just get to have it. It's hard fucking work. And so in the masterclass, I shared a concept that I want to share with you. And I want to say, I heard this analogy. Y'all know, if you listen to the show, that I love me some motherfucking analogies. Like, I just love analogies. I want to be a comedian one day. It's going to happen, y'all. I'm going to go on a stand-up show. And I heard this analogy. I went to see Gary Vee. That's a whole other podcast. I met Gary Vaynerchuk and I asked him a question and I gave him a hug and I cried. He's amazing. And my whole business exists because of him. So I went to Gary Vee and there was a man named Phil Noseworthy who's, shout out to Phil, he was an incredible speaker. And he shared this analogy about how he was basically talking about how we have a lot of potential as human beings. And maybe you have all the right ingredients to bake a cake, except if you, let's say you have all the ingredients to bake a cake, right? This is what he was saying. And you take the eggs and you make scrambled eggs and you smash the flour with some salt and sugar. It's going to taste like shit. That's not a fucking cake. It's like scrambled eggs, right? So he was saying you could have all the ingredients you want to have to bake this fucking cake. But if you don't put the ingredients to work in the way that they work best, you're not going to create the outcome that you want. Furthermore, he said that the cake is the foundation. It's the foundational shit, the basic shit that you need. And I used the analogy at the event as the cake is the work. If you want to live a life of your dreams, if you want to have everything you want, if you want to create confidence, if you want to love yourself, if you want to, basically live your life with purpose and joy and fulfillment and feel good about your life and yourself, you need to have the foundation sorted. The foundations looks like the thoughts, the feelings, how you interact every day to day, your traumas, the shit from the past. Is it unresolved and raveled up in some fucking corner in the basement and you're pretending not to look at it? Is it there, but you're like, nope, it's not there. I'm going to pretend my life is amazing. And he says that the cake is fucking foundation and you have to have the foundation. What goes on top of cake? Most of the time, icing. And the icing, he said, is like the tips and the tricks and the hacks and the sexy shit. Like icing is sexy. It's like little sprinkles and fucking, glitter. And it's so yummy. It's so sugary. It's amazing. But if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have the cake and you just trying to do the on top hacks and the 5 tips to be confident and the quick hit, then you just got a fucking plate with icing, basically. A plate of icing. You stick your face in the plate and lick it and have a sugar high and put icing all over your face. But that is not enough, right? It's not enough because there's no fucking cake. There's no foundation to lay that icing on top of. And I used this example in the masterclass when we started talking in the masterclass about the shit that's the work. And I was like, right now we're about to do some cake shit. We're about to do the work. And then the shit in the masterclass, like the 3 ways to be more confident right now, the 5 steps to confidence, the quick, tight things that I speak about on this podcast, a lot of this shit can be icing. And so I shared my story at the event and I shared with them how I completely transformed in 12 months my whole life. Like my whole fucking life, not even 12 months, it was less. But in 12 months, I was a different human being. My brain was different. I was wiring different. I was unlearning shit. My body was different. The way I was thinking and feeling and acting and the results that I got were different. I changed my life in 12 months. And I said to them, do you want to know what the fuck I did? And they were like, yes, please. And I said, cool, I'm going to share it with you, but it's a bit of cake. And obviously you can't give foundational shit in 6 hours and expect someone to understand all of it. And I do my best on this podcast to give you short, snappy, great episodes where you could take some action, ask yourself some difficult questions. But every once in a while, I invite you to take a step further. Like I did at the beginning of this episode. I invite you to go, hey, stop fucking around and binging my podcast. Join the sisterhood. Come and work with me. Take my hand. Let me be your guide for the next 12 months so you can actually put this shit to work in your life and get a change. And it not be another thing you listen to, another 20-minute podcast episode, another binging bullshit, another free webinar you signed up for. Who cares? How are you going to make the stuff that you're learning here into your day-to-day life so you could make a change? Because that's the whole point, right? Personal development is about you as a person developing, shifting, growing, evolving. That's what it is, growing pains. None of this shit feels good, right? I try to throw in some jokes every once in a while to make it a little bit lighter, but this shit's not easy. And so in the masterclass, I told them, I said, I'm going to share with you the secrets, what I did, the real shit that I did in order to change my life. And I want to share with you today what I said to them. And one of the biggest things, the number one thing, the biggest thing that was ruining my life was the way that I was thinking about myself. It was the thoughts about myself. It was that I thought that I was a piece of shit. I genuinely thought that something was wrong with me and that I didn't deserve to be happy. I thought that I was a stupid Spanish girl from the hood. I thought I'm not smart enough. I'm not white enough. I'm not educated. I don't speak eloquently. Something's wrong with me. I'm fucked up. Who wants me? I'm so fucked up. And especially when I kept attracting these men into my life who, obviously I was attracting them, but they just kept proving to me about how much I didn't believe in myself. They kept showing me how much I thought that I was a piece of shit. And it was just something that I kept seeing, this pattern kept recurring, that I would attract someone who wouldn't treat me well. I would feel shit about myself and then get myself back into the same pattern in another relationship. And in order to numb out of that pain, because it was very painful, I would drink alcohol and I would just get blasted, like blackout drunk. And it was crazy because I had come all the way to Australia from Florida. I lived in Florida and I moved to Australia. And it didn't work out for me the way that I thought it would. And so I got really upset because I felt like a loser. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I came all this way. I sold everything. I told my friends I was going to be down under, and this shit didn't work. And so my ego took a punch in the face, but I ended up staying and said, I'm going to make it work in this country as much as I can. And I'm so glad I did, because the minute I walked into Hamish's gym, my husband right now, at the time, he was my personal trainer. And he was the man that really said to me, hey, if you're interested, I have coaches and I do this healing work and it's really been helpful for me. And it's here if you want to learn more about it. He was very gentle. He nudged gently, right? He didn't shove that shit in my face and be like, you need to do the work, like some of us do to the people we love, right? He didn't do that to me. And it took me on this journey. And the first thing, and I'm telling you right now, the first thing that woke me up, that enlightened me to myself and showed me that there was power in what I was doing, was paying attention to how I think and paying attention to how I speak. When you slow the fuck down enough to where you can hear yourself say what you're about to say, and you almost step outside of your body and like astral travel to the corner of the room to witness you speaking to yourself in such a fucked up way, or you yelling and screaming and reacting because you got offended because of what someone said, because you don't do the work, because you're playing the victim. That was me, the angry victim aggressor. When you start to pay attention to the chatter, the garbage that's in your fucking mind, if you open your mind and you look inside and you're like, whoa, what is that? I had so much garbage in there. Some of it that got put in there before I decided to have, like, some of that shit was shoved in from society. Some of that shit was shoved in from my mom, from my culture, from my background, from my being Latina, being a woman, all the things. And then some of it was shit that I planted in there myself, that I allowed to live and grow in my mind and multiply almost everywhere. It was like a bad fucking weed in a garden, and that shit was rooted in the you're not good enough, you're a stupid Spanish girl, you're not smart, who would want you, all that stuff that was rooted in the fucking garden bed of my mind. And I didn't know. And when I told the ladies at the masterclass, the first thing that helped me completely transform my life was getting to know what I was thinking and believing about myself. And you're probably like, that's nothing, who cares? Awareness. We underestimate the power of awareness, because if you don't know you think that, you don't know what you don't know. And when you know that you're thinking in a negative way about yourself, and when you catch yourself speaking about yourself in a shitty way, when you catch yourself saying yes, but you should have said no, when you catch yourself people pleasing, when you catch yourself shrinking so that somebody else feels comfortable around you, and you get to see yourself do it almost like in slow motion, that's fucking power, okay? Because you can never change something that you cannot see. How are you going to change it if you're not even aware that that's a problem? And let me tell you, in today's world, the culture is like, oh, what's the problem? Let's fix it. No, what's the problem? Have a look at it. Sit with it. Marinate that problem. Feel the feels. Look at it. Sit with it. Watch it. Damn, that is a problem. Before we go change it, we need to understand. Number one, we need to know we're doing it. Number two, we need to understand why, when, how, where, how did this happen? What happens when I get around that group of people? Why do I act that way? When I'm around my mother, why do I feel like this? Wow, when my husband comes home, I all of a sudden go inward and introverted and my fucking throat chakra is shut down. Why? Why when my auntie is around do I feel gross? Whatever. If we don't start to pay attention to these things, how can you change it? You can't. That's the answer. And so for me and my personal journey, the first thing where I found power, where I found some response ability, my ability to respond, where I found that was in my mind. I started writing. I started catching my thoughts. I started journaling. I kept this journal where I just wrote all my thoughts. And some days I didn't have my journal because I was working, and in my job, I was a sales rep and I would have to drive. And in that job, I would be like at the red light and I would have a McDonald's receipt and I would fucking write my thought down. I would write how I was feeling at the red light with a McDonald's receipt with some fucking eyeliner or some shit. It didn't even matter if I went to read it again. It just mattered that I got it out of my head as opposed to thinking it. We did this powerful exercise. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the video of this exercise we did. So powerful. Oh, like emotional, powerful, incredible. And I've been doing this exercise for over 5 years now. And in this exercise, the people involved get to see the shit that they think outside of themselves. And there's power in writing. You could think, oh, I shouldn't say that I'm an idiot. Oh, I shouldn't think that about myself. Oh, I shouldn't think that I'm not good enough. You could think your way through that. That's fine. But you writing down the shitty thought that you're thinking on a piece of paper and that paper being outside of you and you looking at it, that already, it's not identified anymore. You are not the thought. It's a thought that you put on paper and it is outside of you. But many of us believe that we are the shitty thought. We believe it's true. We take the thought and we put it on like it's our outfit, like it's a part of our fucking skin or DNA. I'm unworthy. I'm not good enough. I'm a stupid Spanish girl. I will never amount to anything. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I'm too old. I'm this. All that fucking bullshit we say to ourselves. And instead of knowing that it's a thought we think and we stick it out there and we look at it and we disidentify, we, by mistake, end up taking the thought, putting it on and thinking we are the thought in action. And so it's very powerful if you're wanting to transform your life and change the way things are going, is that you start paying attention to how you think and feel about yourself right now. Now, is it everything? No, of course it's not. Some of us need to do deep therapy. Some of us need coaching. Some of us need mentorship. Some of us need, somatic experience. But let me tell you what, you use your mind. You're a human fucking being. And your mind is so powerful. And there's the quote, right? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think that you're not worthy, if you think that you're not good enough, and you think about this for years, you start to believe it. And not only do you start to believe it, but you start to act out the thought. So you don't put your hand up at work. So you don't speak up when your partner is abusive to you. So you don't tell your mother that she can't do that and have a boundary. So you don't, ask for a pay rise. You don't set the thing that you want to have in your life happen. You don't jump on Instagram Live and share your product or service. You don't go build your business. You don't go ask someone for the sale and get rejected because you're scared. All of these things, these thoughts, these silly thoughts that we think are nothing are running our fucking lives. I had a thought that I was broken and damaged, and it attracted a human being into my life, a man who was a fucking asshole. My thought attracted and kept the asshole for 11 months. If I would have just inquired, if I would have just had coaching, if I would have just had someone help me to go, hey, the things that you think aren't real. They're not 100% true. And it's just an invitation to go deeper. I'm not good enough invites you to go deeper into, what do you mean by that? I'm not good enough compared to who? What is enough? What is good? Who am I? What is this thought? Where did this come from? How long has it been here? How long have I been thinking this? Where did I learn this? Do I believe that that's true? What if it wasn't true? What else could be true? I mean, there are so many questions you can ask when you want to inquire shitty thoughts. But if we don't do the work to do this, you can't change shit in your life. I did a podcast about how to manage your mind. And this is like Manage Your Mind 2.0, what I'm talking about right now. The cake, the foundation, the base, you have to have that sorted. And the way that you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself is important. Oprah's quote, I love it. She goes, you don't become what you think, you become what you believe. So you start thinking this, you start believing that that's who you are. You start to believe that you'll never be a good speaker. You start to believe you're not good with money. You start to believe that you talk too much, that you're too much. You start to believe this shit about yourself. And what you believe about yourself is going to determine the actions that you take, the opportunities that you go or don't go for, the conversations that you have or friends that you attract or relationships or jobs or businesses, the kind of fucking mother you become, the way you think and believe about yourself. You think it doesn't impact how you raise your child. Oh my God, if you're a mother, come lean in closer for the uppercut, baby, because 100% it does. You're not about to tell your kid to go be confident and love themselves because they matter when you look in the fucking mirror and you hate yourself and you don't think you matter. ¿Qué es eso? What is that? That's not going to happen. You can't run away from this, okay? I'm inviting you to do this with me, but who cares? If you don't choose me to work with, you need to do it with someone. No one on this earth is going to go unscathed from this work. We all have inherited thoughts and bullshit and beliefs and stories and experiences from our childhood and our adolescence that have scarred us and hurt us and helped us and made us resilient and fucked us up and all kinds of things all at once. And you think that that doesn't have to get dealt with at some point in time in your life when you want to go be great, when you want to go have something you've never had. You want to go do something you've never done and create a result that you've never had, and you don't think you have to visit those areas. You don't think you have to work through the stuff that's keeping you where you are right now, stuck. Of course you do. And I believe, this is not gospel, but I believe the transformation starts here, in your mind, in your head. And I know right now I could find a pen, I could find a receipt, I could find some toilet paper, I could find a napkin, I could find my hand, and I could write some shit down and start to understand what the fuck is going on up there and why and where and how. And oh my goodness, imagine if you inquired instead of believed everything you thought about yourself. Imagine if you got curious and asked questions and went, why do I think that? Why am I scared of public speaking? Why this? And how did that come? And wow, what would happen if? What if that wasn't true? What if I'd be a great speaker? What if I could make massive impact if I got out of my own way? What if I could find a way to afford coaching? What if I could find a way to come to a retreat? What if I did end up doing the work? What if I did have a coach who supported me? What if I did have a community that held me accountable? What if I did do that? What if I invested 30 minutes a week to work on myself? That's all you need. For us, that's all you need with us. What if you did that instead of fucking scrolled or watched Netflix or whatever other bullshit? What if ... on your fucking paper, what could happen for you? What could happen for you? And I love to do what I can. There's so many times in the podcast where I've said, what can I do? It's a better question than, I can't do that. Well, I can't do that. I can't do anything. What can you do? So I always ask myself, what can I do? And what I can do is I can start to look at my mind. I can start to question the things that I've always thought to be true about myself. I can start to ask better questions of myself. I can look for better answers. I can seek support and guidance. I can action the shit that I'm learning. I do a lot of free content. And so many of you message me like, oh my God, your podcast helped me more than this. And this episode helped me do that. That's from a free podcast. I don't charge for this podcast. This is a free podcast. So imagine if you can do that, how much more could you get when you invest the time to question this, your mind, and you invest the time to actually work on you. My love, I don't care who you are, what part of the world you're in. None of us go unscathed with this. We all will have to revisit these things. We will all have to work and grow and develop ourselves and invest in ourselves in some way, shape, or form if we desire a different result from the one we're currently getting. That's how change works. And it's not, can you do it? Of course you can. You can have everything you want, but not with this version. Whatever version of this you are, version, 10.0 Erica, version 17.4, this version is getting this result. If I want to hit up version 55.2, she ain't doing what I'm doing. What is that version of Erica doing? And how do I start doing that now so I can start to get to what I want? And I can't hold on to the same shit that's kept me trapped in this place. And for years, many of us stayed trapped in the same relationship, in the same job, in the same bodies we hate, in the same circumstances, not because we can't have better, but because we think we deserve it. And we get scared and we don't want to commit. And change is fucking scary. But let me tell you what else is amazing. When you start to do it and you start to realize that your mind can be managed and that you don't have to believe everything in there. You start get curious and inquiring, and you start going, oh my God, like I fell in love with this work so much so that for 8 years, I studied my own shit and dealt with my life and unpacked all the trauma and the shit to then become a coach to support others to do the same. And there's no surprise that people that work on themselves and are willing to do this work get what they want. Of course we do. And so the mind, your mind, the way you think about yourself, it is impacting everything. And it is an area that you can work with. I don't want to say control because you can't control, but you don't have to believe it. What if the thought comes and you go, I know that's not true, but thank you, versus believing that and not putting your hand up and work and not going for the job opportunity and not doing the thing that you want to do. And of course, you won't get it if you don't do it. So if you ask me, and I said this at the masterclass, the cake, the foundation, the work, doing the work on you and constantly growing and evolving as a human being so that you can become who it is you want to be. Everything is on the other side of that shit. Discomfort, of course. Staying in your comfort zone is not going to get anything for you. And so cake, baby, some cake, less 3 tips, the 1 way, the 6 steps, less icing, more cake, more foundation. If you are fucking down to do this work, foundational work, and you like the flavor and the vibe of my cake, do you like this analogy now? I want you to consider the sisterhood. I want you to make it happen for yourself and stop telling yourself that one day, fuck that. We don't know how long we have here. And it's about damn time, as Lizzo says, to make it happen for yourself. Do the damn thing. I love your face. Have the best week, and I will see you on the podcast next week. Hit that link in the show notes. Boom. Thank you so much for listening. I freaking love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your ears and your energy and your attention. Thank you for letting me into your world. And thank you so much for listening and tuning in to this podcast. There are so many podcasts you could listen to, and I deeply, deeply, for real, appreciate you listening to mine. Do me one big favor, one big thing. Please share this episode or this podcast with a woman who you know needs to hear this. This is my mission on planet Earth, to serve as many women as possible so that we could show up, stand up, speak up, and create the confidence and the life that we desire. I appreciate you, my love. I will see you on the next episode.